What if love didn't come from Earth? What if one day, love didn't come from your heart, but from a star light years away? Could you love a being not of your world, or would that love be destroyed by the differences we can never overcome? This isn't a mere question, it's a gateway to a story unlike any you've ever heard. A story that began not with a simple glance, but with an intergalactic collision, two souls, one from Earth and one from an alien world, bound by something neither of them could have ever expected. Imagine this: one quiet, stormy night. I received a message. But it didn't come from anyone I knew, nor did it come from any familiar place. It was a whisper from somewhere vast, distant, something I couldn't explain. And that was the beginning of a love story that defied all logic, between me and an alien. Intrigued yet? You should be. Because in just a few moments, you're about to step into a world where the boundaries between human and extraterrestrial are blurred. This video is filled with details you don't want to miss. Trust me, if you stay until the end, you'll understand how love can truly defy the stars. Distros, a distant, forgotten planet in the Nephros system, where violent electrical storms rage across the darkened skies. Its surface is scarred by centuries of harsh elements and meteorite impacts, yet it remains a mystery to most, only whispered about by space explorers who dare venture too close. A barren world, where life can only exist through the advanced technology of those brave enough to survive its brutal conditions. Orion, a human astronaut from Earth, is on a mission to explore uncharted worlds. Strong, confident, and disciplined, Orion is well equipped for the harsh realities of space travel. After his ship, Aurora, suffers a catastrophic malfunction, he's forced to make an emergency landing on Distros. The planet's environment is nothing like he has ever seen, familiar in its emptiness, but alien in its eerie stillness. The moment Orion steps out of his damaged spacecraft, he is greeted by the vastness of an unfamiliar world. Towering sand dunes stretch endlessly across the horizon, with strange, shimmering rocks protruding from the ground like ancient monuments. The sky is a murky shade of purple, interrupted by flashes of bioluminescent streaks as the electric storms rage above. It's a place that seems alive, but somehow still, a world both mysterious and foreboding. Unbeknownst to Orion, Zara is silently observing him from the shadows. She is a native of this planet, a member of a highly advanced extraterrestrial species. With her emerald green skin, long white hair, and large, bright purple eyes, Zara is a striking figure, exuding an aura of beauty and power. Her pointed ears and lithe, alluring body give her an ethereal, otherworldly presence. Zara has lived in isolation on Distros, keeping her distance from the rest of the universe, until she senses something, someone, in the distance. Zara possesses a unique ability: she can feel the emotions of other beings through eye contact and physical touch. This ability allows her to sense Orion's feelings with startling clarity: the loneliness, the curiosity, the quiet determination he exudes as he attempts to make sense of this strange world. His emotions stir something deep within her, something she had long since buried. His presence feels like a collision of two worlds, and she can't ignore it. For a while, Zara stays hidden, watching him from afar. She can feel his uncertainty and vulnerability, and she wonders why he, a human, would venture to such a desolate planet. The more she watches, the more she feels a magnetic pull toward him, a connection she cannot explain. As Orion explores the area, he begins to notice strange, unexplainable occurrences: a shift in the air, the faintest sound in the distance, and the sense of being watched. He's not sure what it is, but he feels as though something, or someone, is close. Zara silently steps forward, her movements fluid and graceful, blending effortlessly into the landscape. As she watches him closer, she senses his growing curiosity about this place, and about the world around him. The tension in the air between them is palpable, but neither dares to speak, not yet. Their eyes meet for the first time, a silent understanding that transcends words. Orion stands frozen, his breath caught in his chest as his eyes meet Zara's for the first time. Her gaze is intense, unblinking, almost as though she can see right through him. There's something about her eyes so large, so purple, they seem to hold an entire universe within them. He feels an inexplicable pull, something he can't explain, a sensation deep in his gut that tells him she is not just an ordinary being. Zara stands just a few feet away, her body poised, the soft hum of energy from the storm above casting a surreal glow on her flawless emerald skin. The world around them seems to fall silent, as if time itself is holding its breath. She tilts her head slightly, studying him with the same curiosity that he feels toward her. Orion, who are you? His voice cracks slightly, betraying his disbelief. He's seen many things during his career as an astronaut, but this is unlike anything he has ever encountered. Zara doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she steps closer, the strange pull between them growing stronger. She reaches out with one delicate hand, her fingers brushing against the air between them. It feels as if an invisible force tugs at him, urging him to come closer. The air around them seems to hum with energy. Zara speaks, her voice melodic and calming, yet tinged with an ancient sadness that Orion can feel deep within his chest. Zara, I am Zara, from a world far beyond yours. I have been watching you, ever since you arrived. Your kind is fascinating to me. Orion doesn't know what to say. He stands there, captivated by her presence, by the way she seems to glow under the dim purple sky. There's something so deeply alien about her, but also something strangely familiar, something he recognizes, even though he can't put his finger on it. Orion, you've been watching me? Why? What do you want from me? Zara's smile is small but knowing, as if she understands the fear, the curiosity, and the awe that Orion feels. She has seen many things throughout her long existence on this planet, but never has she encountered a human like him. There's an intensity to him, an undeniable force that intrigues her. Zara, I don't want anything from you, Orion. I am simply drawn to you. There is a connection between us, something that neither of us can deny. The universe has brought us together, though neither of us understands why. Orion feels his heart beat faster. The way she speaks, so calmly, so sure of herself, fills him with a sense of wonder and confusion. He's always believed that humans were the only intelligent species in the universe, but now, standing before her, everything he thought he knew is being called into question. A soft breeze stirs the air between them, carrying with it a strange, intoxicating scent that Orion can't quite place. It's like a mixture of something floral and earthy, but there's a sharpness to it that he can't ignore. His senses feel heightened, his mind racing with 1,000 questions and emotions, all swirling in an overwhelming rush. Orion, I don't understand. Why do I feel like I've known you for a lifetime? Zara looks at him with a softness that contrasts with her usually guarded demeanor. She steps closer, the space between them almost non-existent now. The connection between them is undeniable. As she reaches out to touch his arm, a shiver runs down Orion's spine. He can feel the warmth of her touch, even through the strange fabric of his suit. His breath catches in his throat as the sensations flood his senses, intensifying, stirring something deep inside him that he had long since forgotten. Zara, because we are connected, Orion. Not by time or space, but by something far deeper. Our souls, they resonate together. The moment her words sink in, Orion feels a sudden rush of emotions, an overwhelming wave of desire, fear, and a sense of completion. It's as if something inside him has been awakened, a long-buried part of himself that has always longed for something greater, something beyond the physical universe. Zara's eyes flicker with understanding as she senses his conflicting emotions. She's aware of the power she holds over him, and yet, she feels no malice. Instead, she feels a strange tenderness, a pull to protect him, to help him understand the connection that is unfolding between them. Without thinking, Orion reaches out, his fingers brushing against hers. The contact is electric, shocking, yet comforting. Zara's heart races in her chest as she feels the heat from his touch, a feeling she has never experienced before. Her kind has never known the sensations that come with human touch, and yet, in this moment, she feels more alive than she ever has. Zara, it has begun. The tension between them is palpable, lingering in the air like an electric charge. As Orion and Zara stand so close, a deep, almost primal connection stirs within both of them. The world around them seems to fade into the background, as if the entire universe is holding its breath, waiting for what will come next. Orion can't deny the pull he feels. The warmth of Zara's hand on his arm, the softness of her touch, he's never felt anything like this before. His mind races, unsure of what to make of it. She's an alien, a being from a world he couldn't even begin to comprehend. And yet, in this moment, he feels like he's known her for an eternity. Zara, for her part, is equally affected. She has lived on Destros for longer than she can remember, observing countless beings pass through the galaxy, but none have ever stirred her like Orion has. She can feel his emotions, his doubts, his yearnings, and in turn, she is drawn to him. The strength of his presence, the heat of his touch, it all feels so real, so alive. Zara, Orion, her voice is soft, almost a whisper. You don't understand what this means, do you? Orion looks down at her, feeling the weight of her words. There's something in her tone that suggests she knows more about what's happening between them than he does. And for the first time, he feels a sense of vulnerability, as if he's on the edge of something he can't control. Orion, I don't know what this is. But it feels like nothing I've ever felt before. It's like you're pulling me in. He swallows hard, trying to make sense of the whirlwind of emotions that are crashing over him. Zara steps back slightly, her piercing purple eyes studying him. Her heart beats faster in her chest, a sensation that is unfamiliar to her kind. She can feel the rising intensity between them, and yet, she hesitates. She knows that what they share is no ordinary connection. There's something deeper at work, something that neither of them can yet fully comprehend. Zara, you feel it too, the pull between us. But this connection is more than just physical. It is something ancient, something woven into the very fabric of the universe. Orion's eyes narrow slightly. He knows she's right, but the enormity of what she's suggesting makes him uneasy. He's just a human, what could he possibly know about something so vast, so far beyond his understanding? Orion, ancient? What do you mean? You've been through this before? You've felt this with other beings. Zara shakes her head slowly, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Zara, no, this is different. I have never felt anything like this. Not with anyone else. Orion feels his chest tighten as her words sink in. He realizes that, for all of his training, all of his knowledge about space and the unknown, he is completely out of his depth here. Zara is not like anything he's ever encountered. She's a mystery, an enigma, and yet, she feels more real to him than anything he's ever known. The air around them thickens with anticipation. Zara moves closer again, her body almost pressing against his, her breath warm on his skin. Orion's pulse quickens as he feels the heat of her presence, the intensity of her emotions flooding him. Her proximity is magnetic, and every instinct inside him is telling him to take the next step. For a moment, they stand there, locked in a silent, powerful exchange. Neither of them speaks, but the connection between them is undeniable. Every second feels like a heartbeat, a rhythm they are both instinctively following. The pull between them is almost unbearable, and despite his reservations, Orion can feel himself leaning in closer, drawn by the energy that surrounds them. Then, without warning, Zara reaches up and places her hand gently on his chest. Orion's breath hitches as the contact sends a shock of warmth through his body. His heart races, and he can feel the pounding of it against his ribs. Zara, this connection, it's beyond what we know. Beyond what I can explain. But you must trust it. Trust me. Her words are soft, but they carry an undeniable weight. In that moment, Orion realizes that trusting Zara may be the only way to understand what's happening between them. There's no going back now. Zara's hand moves to his cheek, her touch feather-light, as she draws him closer. He can feel the heat rising between them, and something inside him shifts. The magnetic attraction that has been pulling at them both for so long reaches its peak, and Orion finally closes the distance, pressing his lips to hers in a kiss that is at once tender and fierce. The world around them seems to vanish, the chaos of the universe dissolving into the intensity of their connection. Their kiss deepens, and Orion feels the warmth of Zara's skin, the softness of her lips, and the strange, intoxicating sensation of being connected to something so otherworldly. Zara's emotions flood through him, a mix of wonder, longing, and a deep, ancient knowledge that he cannot fully grasp. Her heart beats in sync with his, and in that moment, he feels a part of her, as though their souls are intertwined. The kiss lingers, deep and consuming, leaving both Orion and Zara breathless. As their lips finally part, they stand in silence, caught in the aftershocks of the moment. The air between them hums with the raw intensity of their connection, but something deeper stirs within Zara, something she has avoided for centuries. Orion is still reeling from the kiss. His heart is racing, and his mind is awash with confusion and desire. He can't explain what just happened. All he knows is that, the moment they touched, everything changed. He feels more alive than he ever has, but also more vulnerable, as though a part of himself is now exposed in a way he can't control. Zara notices the shift in him, the questions flickering behind his eyes. She can feel the turmoil within him, the same way she can feel the storm inside herself. For a long time, she has kept her past buried, locked away in the corners of her mind. But now, with Orion standing before her, she knows that she can no longer hide from it. Not with him. Not when their souls are so inexplicably entwined. Zara, Orion, her voice is soft, almost hesitant. There are things you don't know about me. Things you need to understand before we can continue. Orion looks at her, his brow furrowing. He knows there's more to her than what she has shown him. He has felt her pain, her burden, but he's not sure how to navigate it. He wants to know everything, but the fear of what he might learn is gnawing at him. Still, he steps closer, driven by a need to understand, to know her in ways no one ever has. Orion, I need to know, Zara. If we're going to go forward, if we're going to be, whatever this is, I need to understand who you are. Zara takes a deep breath, her gaze drifting toward the distant horizon, where the purple sky meets the sand dunes. For a moment, she is silent, her thoughts far away, lost in the labyrinth of her own past. Zara, I wasn't always like this, so alone. My people, we are not like humans. We are long-lived, eternal, even. But we have known great loss, too. We have witnessed the fall of worlds, the destruction of entire civilizations. I was the last of my kind, when I arrived here. Her voice trembles as she speaks, and Orion can hear the weight of centuries in her words. It's as though the pain of her past is a living thing, something that haunts her every step, every thought. Zara, I came here, to Destros, after my home was destroyed. It was meant to be a place of peace for me, a refuge. But I've been running from myself, from my memories, ever since. The truth is, I didn't want to remember. I didn't want to feel. But now I can't hide from it anymore. Orion feels a pang of empathy for her. He's no stranger to loss, having lost people he loved during his life. But this is something beyond human comprehension. The burden of watching an entire civilization fall, of being the last of an ancient race. He can't imagine the pain she must have endured. But there's something more in her words, something he can't quite place. A part of her is still haunted, still tied to the past, to the destruction she witnessed. And as much as Orion wants to reach out to her, to tell her everything will be okay, he knows that the pain she carries is not something he can easily fix. not without understanding what's truly at stake. Orion, Zara, he gently reaches out, his hand brushing hers. You don't have to carry this alone. You don't have to hide from it. I want to be here for you. Zara looks up at him, her eyes shimmering with unspoken emotions. For the first time, she allows herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she doesn't have to hide anymore. She doesn't have to face the weight of her past alone. Orion is offering her something she has never had: someone to share her burden, someone to fight beside her. But there's a part of her, deep inside, that still holds back. She knows that what they share is more than just a fleeting connection. It's deeper, more complicated. And the risk of opening herself up to Orion is immense. Zara, I don't know if I can, Orion. I've kept this part of myself locked away for so long. I'm not sure I can share it with anyone, even you. Orion steps closer, his voice soft but firm, his eyes filled with sincerity. Orion, you don't have to share everything, Zara. But I want to know you. I want to be there for you, however I can. You don't have to face this alone anymore. You don't have to be the last one of your kind, hiding in the shadows. For a long moment, Zara remains silent, her gaze fixed on him. She can feel the sincerity in his words, the warmth of his presence. Slowly, almost hesitantly, she reaches out, taking his hand in hers. The connection between them deepens, and for the first time in a long while, Zara feels a flicker of hope. Perhaps, just maybe, she can find a way to heal not just her heart, but the broken pieces of her past. Part 5, In the Silence of the Stars, the First Touch. The silence that follows is heavy, like the calm before a storm. The weight of Zara's confession lingers in the air between them, thick with unspoken emotions. Orion is still processing everything she's told him about the fall of her people, the centuries of loneliness, and the burden she's carried for so long. He wants to reach out, to comfort her, but something holds him back. There's a fragility to her that he hadn't expected, a vulnerability he hadn't anticipated. As the minutes pass, the stars above seem to shimmer more brightly, as if responding to the deepening connection between them. The wind picks up, sending a soft, otherworldly hum through the air, carrying the scent of strange, unknown flowers from the distance. Zara stands beside him, her hand still in his, but she doesn't pull away. Instead, she leans in slightly, as if drawn by an invisible force. For a moment, Orion wonders if she will speak again, but Zara is silent. Her eyes are closed, her lips slightly parted as she inhales the cool, alien air. He watches her, mesmerized by the way the light from the stars plays on her emerald skin, the way the soft breeze moves through her white hair. She's unlike anyone he's ever known, beautiful, enigmatic, and so very different from the people he's always known. His heart beats faster as the silence stretches on. The connection between them, once electric, now feels like a slow burn, intimate and undeniable. There's something raw and honest about it, something that goes beyond words. It's as if their souls are in perfect sync, communicating in a language that doesn't need to be spoken. Zara turns her head slowly to look at him. Her eyes, those impossibly large, luminous eyes, lock with his, and for a moment, everything else fades away. In that instant, Orion feels as though he's drowning in her gaze, as though her very presence is drawing him into her world. The pull is magnetic, irresistible. He feels it deep in his chest, a connection that goes beyond the physical, beyond anything he's ever felt before. Before he can stop himself, Orion steps closer. His hand, still holding hers, gently pulls her toward him, and Zara doesn't resist. She allows him to bring her in, her body responding to the unspoken invitation. The distance between them closes, and with it, the air seems to crackle with energy. The tension builds between them, both thrilling and terrifying at the same time. Zara, Orion, her voice is barely a whisper, but it's filled with an intensity that matches the heat building between them. You're here. I never thought I would find someone who could see me, truly see me. Orion, I see you, Zara. I see everything about you. His voice is low, thick with emotion. He can feel his pulse quicken as he takes a deep breath, and the space between them feels impossibly small now. His hand moves from hers to gently cup her face, his thumb brushing against the smoothness of her cheek. As his touch lingers, Zara's breath hitches. The sensation of his skin against hers sends a shiver down her spine. It's as though her entire body is waking up to him, to this moment. For the first time in centuries, she feels seen not as an alien, not as the last of her kind, but as Zara. A woman, a being, with emotions and desires of her own. And as if something inside her can no longer resist, Zara closes the distance between them. She leans in, her lips brushing against his in a kiss that is at once tender and urgent. It's not just a kiss, it's a declaration, a release of everything they've both been holding back. It's a kiss that speaks of longing, of the vulnerability they've both shared, and of the deep, overwhelming connection they can no longer deny. Orion pulls her closer, his arms wrapping around her slender waist as their bodies press together. The sensation of her warmth against him, the softness of her skin, sends waves of heat through his body. His heart is racing, but he can't stop now. Not when everything he's ever wanted feels so close, so real. As their kiss deepens, Zara's hands move to his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat beneath her fingertips. She can sense the urgency in his touch, the way his emotions are flooding through him, and it excites her in ways she never thought possible. Her alien body, so in tune with the world around her, responds to the physical closeness, and she feels a strange, intoxicating sensation building inside her, one she's never experienced before. Her skin tingles, her senses heighten, and she feels alive in a way she hasn't for centuries. Zara, Orion, her voice breaks the kiss, breathless and filled with desire. I didn't know it could feel like this. I didn't know that I could feel. Orion, you feel it too, don't you? He brushes a strand of hair from her face, his thumb grazing her soft skin. We're connected, Zara. In a way I don't understand, but I know it's real. For a moment, the world seems to disappear around them. It's just the two of them, standing in the silence of the stars, their bodies pressed together, hearts beating in unison. The connection between them has transcended the physical, reaching something deeper, something primal. It's as if the very fabric of the universe has woven their fates together, binding them in a way neither of them can escape. As their kiss resumes, more urgent this time, the weight of the moment settles in. This is no longer just a meeting of two beings from different worlds, it's the beginning of something far greater, something that neither of them can fully comprehend. But in this moment, they don't need to understand. All they need to do is be with each other. The kiss lingers between them, a fusion of warmth and longing that stretches beyond the moment. Orion holds Zara tightly in his arms, as if fearing that, at any moment, she might slip away. His heart beats rapidly, the rhythm matching hers, and with each passing second, their connection intensifies. It's no longer just a kiss, it's a culmination of all the feelings they've been struggling to understand. Zara's breath hitches as she pulls away, but her hands remain on Orion's chest, her fingertips gently tracing the outlines of his muscles beneath the fabric of his suit. She's never felt anything like this before, the raw emotion, the need, the overwhelming sense of belonging. It's as if the walls she's built around herself have come crashing down, leaving her exposed and vulnerable, but somehow free. Zara, Orion, her voice trembles slightly, as if she's unsure of how to express the chaos swirling inside her. I've never felt anything like this connection. You're not just a stranger. You're. Orion looks down at her, his hands resting gently on her hips as he searches her eyes for the answers she's struggling to find. There's a vulnerability in her gaze, one that mirrors his own. For the first time in his life, Orion feels like he's standing on the edge of something monumental. It's not just about physical attraction or desire, it's something deeper, something that binds them together in ways they can't fully explain. Orion, I know. I feel it too. It's more than anything I've ever known. I can't explain it, but I don't need to. I just know that this us, it's real. The air between them shimmers with unspoken words, but in this moment, no more words are necessary. Zara closes the distance between them once more, her lips brushing against his in a soft, lingering kiss. The touch of her lips sends a jolt of warmth through Orion's body, and he deepens the kiss, pulling her closer, needing her in a way that feels almost primal. Zara's body responds instinctively, her hands sliding up to his neck, pulling him into the kiss with an urgency that surprises even her. The kiss is no longer gentle, it's filled with hunger, with the need to be closer, to lose themselves in each other. The intensity of it is overwhelming, but it's also exhilarating. Orion feels as though he's being swept away on a tidal wave of emotion, each kiss, each touch, pulling him deeper into her world. Zara, I don't want to pull away, but we need to understand what's happening. Her voice is breathless, but there's a sense of clarity in her words. As much as she feels the pull toward him, as much as she craves the connection, she knows that what they're experiencing is not something they can easily explain or ignore. There are consequences to this, consequences neither of them is prepared for, but both are willing to face. Orion pulls back slightly, his forehead resting against hers, both of them breathing heavily. The space between them is now charged with something more than just physical attraction. It's as if they've both unlocked something deeper, something far more intimate than either of them had anticipated. Orion, Zara. I don't know what's happening, but I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you. His voice is low and sincere, filled with a vulnerability he's never shown to anyone before. Zara's eyes soften as she looks at him, her chest rising and falling with each breath. She can feel the sincerity in his words, and something shifts within her. She's spent so long running from her past, hiding from the pain of her lost civilization, that the idea of allowing someone in, of letting someone see her, feels like a dangerous risk. But with Orion, it doesn't feel like a risk. It feels like the one thing that might actually save her. Zara, I won't let you go, Orion. But we have to understand what this means. We have to be ready for whatever comes next. Their eyes lock in silent agreement. They both know that the road ahead will be fraught with challenges. The bond between them is undeniable, but the universe has a way of testing those who dare to reach across worlds. Still, in this moment, as the stars above them shimmer like a distant promise, both Orion and Zara know that they are no longer just two beings from different worlds. They are something more, something that transcends the physical, the emotional, and perhaps even time itself. And with that understanding, they kiss again, this time with a tenderness that speaks of the future, of the uncertain road they will walk together. Their bodies, their hearts, their souls are intertwined in a way neither of them can fully comprehend, but it's real. It's more real than anything either of them has ever felt. The silence between them is no longer uncomfortable, but rather a space of mutual understanding. After the intensity of their shared kiss and the raw emotions that followed, Orion and Zara find themselves in a moment of stillness, gazing at each other as though seeing one another for the first time. Zara gently rests her forehead against his, the faint hum of energy from the planet's core vibrating beneath their feet. She feels the calmness of his presence, the strength in his steady breathing, and the warmth of his body against hers. Everything about him feels so real, so deeply human, and yet, at the same time, she can't shake the sense that there is something more between them. A connection that she has never experienced before. Zara, I've never felt like this, before. Not with anyone. You, her words falter as she tries to make sense of the whirlwind of emotions coursing through her. She had lived for centuries, witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, and yet, it was only now that she felt like her heart was truly alive. You've changed everything. For me. Orion looks at her, his gaze soft and filled with an intensity that mirrors her own. His heart pounds in his chest, but there's no fear now. Only a deep, overwhelming sense of belonging. He feels something more than desire. He feels a pull that goes beyond the physical, a connection that transcends time and space. Orion, I don't understand all of this, Zara. But I know. I know that I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose you. Zara closes her eyes for a brief moment, feeling the truth of his words settle deep within her. There's no going back now. Whatever this is between them, it's unlike anything she's ever experienced. The emotions she's feeling are too intense, too real to ignore. And as much as she fears it, she knows she can't run from it. She doesn't want to. Zara, I can't promise you forever, Orion. But I can promise you this. I will walk this path with you, for as long as the stars allow us to. The sincerity in her voice touches something deep inside him. It's not the promise of eternity, but it's enough. It's more than enough. Without another word, Orion pulls her closer, wrapping his arms around her. They stand together, feeling the quiet of the cosmos envelop them, knowing that whatever awaits them, they will face it side by side. For the first time in his life, Orion feels that he is exactly where he's meant to be. The days that follow are filled with discovery, both of each other and the strange, hauntingly beautiful world of Distros. Zara shows Orion the hidden places of the planet, its luminous caves, where the walls pulse with soft light, and its ancient forests, where the trees hum with energy. Everywhere they go, there is a quiet beauty, a sense of something ancient and powerful beneath the surface. But even as they grow closer, the reality of their situation begins to settle in. Orion is stranded on a foreign world, with no way to contact Earth, and no idea how to repair his ship. Every day, the distance from home grows greater. He knows that his time here is limited, he can't stay forever. And then, the first real challenge arrives. A sudden storm, more violent than anything they've experienced before, descends upon the planet. The skies crack with lightning, and the ground trembles beneath their feet. It's clear that the storm is no natural phenomenon, it's a manifestation of something deeper, something tied to the energy that flows through Distros itself. Zara, the storm is a warning. It's part of what binds this world together. If we don't act quickly, it could tear apart everything. Orion looks at her, confusion and fear evident in his eyes. What are you talking about? What's causing this? Zara, I don't know. But I can feel it. There is something on this planet, something ancient and powerful, that has been disturbed. We need to stop it before it consumes us all. With urgency in her voice, Zara leads Orion to a hidden temple deep within the heart of Distros, a place she has never shown anyone before. The walls of the temple are covered in ancient runes, glowing faintly as they approach. Zara places her hand against one of the stone pillars, and a surge of energy flows through her, lighting up the room. Zara, I can feel it. The energy, it's unstable. We need to channel it, direct it away from the core before it destroys the entire planet. But as they attempt to harness the energy, Zara begins to weaken. The power surging through her is overwhelming, and her body trembles with the effort. Orion reaches out, his hand covering hers, trying to stabilize her. Orion, Zara, you're going to hurt yourself. We need to get out of here. But Zara doesn't let go. Her eyes meet his, filled with determination. I can't let this world be destroyed, Orion. I can't let it die, just like everything else. Orion realizes what she's willing to sacrifice. She's giving everything she has, not just for the planet, but for him, for their bond. He knows that she is already carrying a weight far too heavy for one person to bear, but she's willing to shoulder it alone. Without thinking, he steps forward, placing his hands over hers. Together, they focus, their combined energy drawing the destructive force away from the planet's core, redirecting it into the deep recesses of the temple. It feels as though time stands still. The storm rages outside, but inside the temple, there is only peace. Slowly, the energy stabilizes, and the glowing runes begin to fade. The danger is averted for now. The storm has passed, but the air remains charged with an unseen energy, a sense of danger still lurking in the atmosphere. Orion and Zara stand together in the aftermath, their breaths heavy as they look at the glowing runes on the temple walls, now dimmed and still. The battle against the storm has ended, but the cost is unknown. Zara leans against the stone pillar, her body exhausted, but there is a sense of peace in her eyes now. She has done what she could to save Destros, her home, the place she has long feared and longed to protect. And now, standing next to Orion, she feels something even more profound, a connection that has grown stronger with every passing day, every shared moment of vulnerability and discovery. Orion watches her carefully, his eyes soft with concern. "You're still trembling. Are you okay?" He reaches out, his hand gently brushing her cheek, and for a moment, the touch is more intimate than it has ever been before. It's a touch of comfort, of solidarity, of something deeper than just physical attraction. Zara looks up at him, her gaze intense, filled with emotions she hasn't allowed herself to feel in centuries. The connection between them feels like an open wound, raw and unhealed, but also electric and beautiful. She has given everything to protect this world, but Orion, standing here beside her, has become just as important to her as Destros itself. "Zara, I don't know if I can keep doing this alone, Orion. The weight of everything, the destruction, the loss, the fear. It's too much for me to carry by myself." "Orion, you don't have to carry it alone anymore, Zara. You've never been alone. I'm here, with you. And I will be, for as long as you need me." His voice is steady, unwavering, as though he's making a promise, not just to her, but to himself. Zara's eyes glisten with unshed tears, but she doesn't look away. There's something in the way Orion looks at her, something that reassures her. He's not afraid of her past, her struggles, or her power. He's not afraid of who she is. "Zara, but this between us, it's dangerous. It's forbidden. The universe doesn't want us together." Her words are filled with a quiet sadness, but there's a fierceness beneath it, an unspoken acknowledgement of the risks they're both taking. Our worlds, our very beings, they're too different. I'm not like you, Orion. I can't promise that everything will be okay. That we'll make it through this. Orion steps closer, his hand reaching out once more, gently cupping her face. His touch is tender, filled with everything he feels for her, his admiration, his desire, his fear of losing her. But most of all, his love for her. "Orion, we're not bound by the laws of the universe, Zara. We're bound by something stronger. We are connected by something that goes beyond time, beyond distance. And I believe in it." For a long moment, Zara simply looks at him, her breath shallow, as if trying to make sense of the raw honesty in his eyes. The truth is, she's afraid of the consequences, of the inevitable separation, of the impossible nature of their love. But in the deepest parts of her, she knows she can't resist this connection. Not anymore. Slowly, she steps closer to him, her hand brushing against his chest. There's a softness in her gaze now, something vulnerable and real. She's ready to take the leap, to finally trust him as he has trusted her. Zara, I never thought this would happen, Orion. I never thought I could feel this way. But here we are. And I don't want to fight it anymore. The moment her words sink in, Orion pulls her into him, enveloping her in his arms. This time, their kiss is not desperate, not filled with urgency, but full of a tenderness that speaks of everything they've been through, everything they've come to understand about each other. Their bodies mold together perfectly, as though the universe itself has crafted them to fit, to be one. As they kiss, Zara's mind races, but her heart beats in perfect sync with his. It's as though all the pain, all the uncertainty, all the confusion about their connection melts away. In this moment, they are no longer two separate beings. They are united, one in body, one in spirit. As the kiss deepens, Zara feels a wave of sensation unlike any she's ever known. It's as if her entire being is vibrating, every nerve ending alive with the energy that flows between them. She can feel Orion's heartbeat, the rhythm of it matching her own, and she realizes that they are no longer two beings from different worlds. They are two halves of the same soul, connected by a force greater than anything the universe could throw at them. Zara, Orion, she gasps as they break the kiss, her voice breathless, full of emotion. I've never felt anything like this. I'm afraid, but I don't care. I don't care about the consequences anymore. Orion, neither do I. His hands gently slide down her back, pulling her even closer, their bodies pressed tightly together. I don't care about anything but this moment, Zara. About you. About us. For the first time in her life, Zara feels at peace. The fears, the doubts, the struggles, all of it fades away, leaving only the connection between her and Orion. She has spent so long running from her past, from her people, from the destruction of her world. But in this moment, she realizes that maybe, just maybe, she doesn't need to run anymore. She has found something worth fighting for. And as their lips meet again, more passionately this time, Zara knows that whatever the universe throws at them, they will face it together. The universe around them feels distant, as if the stars themselves are watching in silence. Orion and Zara stand together, in the quiet after their kiss, both changed in ways they cannot yet fully comprehend. Their bond has surpassed everything they once knew about love, about connection, and about the very fabric of existence itself. But now, with everything at its peak, the question looms above them like a shadow. What comes next? Can they sustain this love, this bond, when the universe is so vast, so indifferent to the fragile lives of two beings from opposite worlds? Zara looks up at the distant sky, her purple eyes reflecting the glow of the stars. For so long, she had believed that she was destined to be alone, that her past, her people, and the weight of the galaxy itself were too much for any one being to bear. But in Orion, she has found something more. A person who has accepted her flaws, her history, and the parts of herself she thought she had to hide. Zara, Orion. I can't promise you forever. I can't promise that we'll be safe, or that the universe will allow us to stay together. But, she turns to face him, her hand reaching for his, fingers entwining with his. I can promise you now, this moment, and that I will always stand by you, no matter the cost. Orion holds her gaze, his heart racing. He's not afraid of the unknown, not anymore. He knows the path ahead is fraught with danger and uncertainty, but with Zara, he is ready to face it all. He doesn't need promises of forever. What he needs, what he has always needed, is the truth of this connection. Orion, I don't need forever, Zara. I only need you. Here, now, and always. Whatever happens, I'm with you. Always. Her heart swells with emotion at his words, and for the first time in centuries, Zara feels something she thought was lost to her, a sense of hope. The weight of her past, the fear of being alone, and the burden of protecting a dying world all feel lighter in this moment, as if the very act of loving Orion has given her a new sense of purpose. As their eyes lock, the air around them shimmers with the energy of their bond. It's as though the entire universe has aligned, creating a space just for them. Their souls, once separate, have now merged in a way that transcends anything either of them has ever known. And then, as if the universe itself has granted them one final gift, a quiet calm settles over them. The planet beneath them seems to hum with the pulse of life, as if acknowledging their union. Zara and Orion stand together, united not just by love, but by a force greater than them both, something that has always existed, deep within the fabric of the cosmos. But there is still one final test. Orion must leave Destros. His mission was never meant to be permanent. He must return to Earth, to the life he once knew, leaving everything behind. Zara knows this, and so does he. Zara, you have to go, don't you? Orion, I do. My people need me. Earth needs me. His voice falters, as though saying the words aloud makes it more real. But I won't forget you, Zara. And I'll find a way to come back to you. I promise. Zara places a hand on his chest, over his heart, feeling the steady rhythm of it beneath her fingers. She knows the sacrifice he is making, but she also understands that their love cannot be confined to a single place or time. Zara, I don't want you to leave. But I know you must. Just know this, Orion, you will always be with me. In my heart. No matter where I am, no matter what happens. The weight of her words hangs in the air between them, and for a moment, Orion isn't sure if he can leave. But deep down, he knows he must return to Earth, to the life he has always known, to protect the future of his people. They stand there for what feels like an eternity, sharing one last, long kiss, one that speaks of longing, of sacrifice, and of the undying connection that will remain between them, no matter the distance or time. Orion pulls away gently, his hand lingering on Zara's cheek as he steps back, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what they must both face. The universe may be vast, but he now knows that love, true love, can transcend even the greatest of distances. Orion, I'll find you again, Zara. I will. And when I do, we'll have our time together. Zara nods, her eyes shining with tears she will not let fall. She watches as Orion turns and walks toward the shuttle that will take him back to his ship, back to the vastness of space, back to the world he came from. And as he disappears into the horizon, Zara stands alone, but no longer lonely. She knows that the bond they share, the love they've ignited, will never die. It will wait for them, no matter how long it takes. As our journey reaches its final moments, standing there in the vastness of space, with only a flicker of light connecting us, I realized something that will stay with me forever: love doesn't need an explanation. Sometimes, the things that defy reason are the very things that last for eternity. And we remained, together, against all odds, defying the vastness of space. But then, a thought struck me. We had overcome every challenge, but there was one thing that I hadn't yet realized: the most important part wasn't where he came from, but where he had shown me love could come from, and where it would take us, we have yet to discover. And just like that, this chapter comes to an end. But is it truly the end? Or is it simply the beginning of a longer journey, one that explores the love between humans and the cosmos, time and time again? Could someone else continue this story? Where will it go next? Only time will tell. What do you think? Could love really exist without borders? Will humanity continue to search for love in other worlds, or is it just an illusion? Maybe we'll never have the answers, but at least together, we're starting to explore it. Now, before you go, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Your feedback and support mean the universe to us. You are one of the first 1,000 people to be part of Intergalactic Hearts. Let's make this journey even more incredible, one story at a time.